So this is my demo lesson plan for you all later this evening. To begin, I've chosen to do the theme of rhyme and rhyme, both R-I-M-E and R-H-Y-M-E, and focusing this lesson toward about third graders or so, which is about the time, in my experience, they start learning about rhyme more critically. So as part of the lesson, to begin, I will ask the students if they've ever heard the term rhyme. Chances are they may not have, depending on their background in English. But I think it's still worthwhile to ask them anyway. I can also ask them if they know what a dinosaur is, if they've heard of dinosaurs, think of some examples. Again, not knowing all of their English backgrounds, they may or may not know how to respond, but I still think it's worthwhile. The focus of the lesson, to help the kids know more about what a rhyme is and how it works, I found a book, Dr. Seuss themed, called Once Upon a Mastodon. Dr. Seuss is popular with really any age, I guess. It may not be as familiar to children in that part of the world. The Cat in the Hat might be. That tends to be the old staple. Of course, there's also the Yertle the Turtle is another one. So anyway, the book I've chosen, I will read it so you can hear my accent, how I read, the language of the book, and what the students would be hearing if I were to read the book to them. It's a little bit long, not in terms of pages, but the writing is. The goal is I want to make sure the kids or whoever my students are of any age get a decent dose of the language so they can hear critically what the point of the rhyme is. So here it goes. I'm the cat in the hat. Oh, please turn the page to discover some mammals from the great ice age. Over 2 billion years ago in the past, 1/3 of our planet came to be frozen fast. In the cold, many mammals did not survive. Others went south, where warmth helped them thrive. And some of these words might be a bit advanced for that age group, so as I go through this, I will gauge based upon the reactions of the kids in the room. If they seem a little perplexed, I would describe the words a bit better, so that they can better understand the material. The mammals that stayed in the north mostly were covered with fat and with thick coats of fur. What is a mammal? You might like to know. I have some ideas, so I'll give it a go. A mammal is warm-blooded, has lungs and backbone, but there is one other trait that I'd like to make known. Moms feed their young from their mammary glands. That's why they're called mammals, as I understand. The mammals you'll see on the tour I am giving are extinct, which means they are no longer living. How do we know? How they looked, you might ask. We study their fossils, a difficult task. Experts can guess from very few traces how these beasts looked, both their bodies and faces. What they ate, how they moved, and how big they grew. If they were male or female, and how they died, too. Teeth, footprints, and bones from long, long ago are what we call fossils, a word you may know. The sloth of today is the size of a cat, but there once was a ground sloth, much bigger than that. A big elephant, as big as an elephant, it had such long claws, it needed to walk on the sides of its paws. This sloth's footprints tell, as clear as you please, that it reared on hind legs too much on the trees. And here is a mammal, a real crowd pleaser, still around at the time of the great Julius Caesar. With stout horns that spread ever wider and bolder, the oryx stood 6 feet high at the shoulder. In cold North America, on one Ice Age day, the dire wolf here was stalking her prey. Her prey sank down deep in the tar, and too late the dire wolf found she had met the same fate. Come closer, my friends, that is if you dare, and say hi to the giant, short-faced bear. It stood 10 feet tall, when on its hind feet, sharp teeth and strong jaw were made to eat meat. And 2,000 pounds, this big furry lug, weighed almost as a VW, weighed almost as much as a VW bug. Having sighted a bear, we will now move on to the great ice age we call Smilodon. It had these long fangs like sabers, and that is the reason we call it a saber-toothed cat. It hunted and scavenged things too, says it's true, from Canada all the way down to Peru. Were there Ice Age horses? Oh my, yes, of course. And from the pygmy on up to what we call giant horse. We know of the giant from one single find, a giant sliced tooth, which boggles the mind. The great Irish elk, I will state loud and clear, holds the all-time record for world's biggest deer. With its antlers a whopping 12 feet across, it used them to show other elks who was boss. Bull fought with bull when the lucky winner took the prize cow on a date out to dinner. And it should be noted that this book is illustrated, but it's just easier to read it to you from this angle. The next mammal on deck, oh heed me my son, is the holy one we call the steppe bison. An Alaskan mummy that was frozen and solid gave us an idea of how one bison died. A lion tooth cracked, and was it left behind, as fossils go, an unusual find. And there on its flank a series of scratches to a lion's claw make the perfect matches. Mammoths and mastodons, I will tell you kids, belong to the order we call proboscids. Standing 14 feet high, mammoths once put away 700 whole pounds of plant matter each day. Tusks 16 feet long, growing outward and curled, made mammoth the tusk king of the Ice Age world. Of mammoth fossils there are scads and scads, bones of the moms and the babies and dads. At Hot Springs, South Dakota, 60 mammoths were found. Where a sinkhole was, they got stuck and drowned. Mammoths and mastodons, some people will claim, with their fur tusks and trunks, were really the same, but shorter of tusk and with legs not as long. Mastodon was smaller, though still plenty strong. Mammoth's skull was doomed, and Mastodon's flat, but the difference, you see, goes well beyond that. The big difference lies in their teeth, not their bones. Mammoth's teeth were flat, Mastodon's shaped like cones. Were there mammals back then? Yes, there were all by means. The stars of their own great Ice Age scenes. These folks lived together in a family brood, making fire for warmth and for cooking their food. They gathered their fruit and root nuts and seeds, and killed to meat and for all other needs. The Ice Age worker who is pictured here is chipping flint's points to tie on his spear. They were not just hunters, men brave of heart. These Stone Age people were skilled at art. From stones and shells and dried up seeds, they made headdresses and strings of beads. With a flute carved of bone or an empty conch shell, they would make music, and some danced as well. But the thing they could make that stands well apart in their bold and colorful cave wall art. These great works of art are still being found on walls inside caves deep under the ground. In colors and lines these Stone Agers drew the Ice Age mammals they hunted and slew. Such beautiful pictures as you can see here: rhino, mammoth, bison, lion, bear, and deer. But the one rising mammal that I'd like to see in a bold cave-walled picture is little old me. And that's the end of the book. There will be several crafts that I will put in an email and send to you so you can see some enrichment activities that I would do as well. Also, as a part of in my training to make lesson plans and curriculum, I was trained to do a formative assessment at the end, or a summative assessment. It's been called different things, have different meanings. And the goal would be, at the end of the lesson, there would be a question or something asked that would get the students to think about what was covered during the class. So I will include those in an email as well.